First objective is the current development of the halal pharmaceutical industry in Malaysia. Updating the standard. So the Malaysian MS2424-2012 Halal Pharmaceutical Guidelines are the world's first halal pharmaceutical standard. The Malaysian MS2424-2012 Halal Pharmaceutical Guidelines, the world's first halal pharmaceutical guideline, was introduced in 2012 and was warmly accepted. The group spent more than 2 years developing the paper, including critical assistance from the Malaysian Regulatory Authority, which recommended the globally recognized PICS, which is Pharmaceutical Inspection Cooperative Scheme, framework for pharmaceutical items, then renamed MS2424-2019 Halal Pharmaceutical Requirements with further improvement and addition of halal vaccine standards. Halal aspects were incorporated into the document, and a revision was recently developed and called MS2424-2019 Halal Pharmaceutical Requirements with additional enhancements and the inclusion of halal vaccination standards. Further expansion are expected to include pharmaceutical intoxicant and biopharmaceuticals in order to cater to and prepare for the requirement and demand of applicable standards. Next is issuance of first halal license. So the issuance of first halal license for the RX prescription medicine to the Chemical Company of Malaysia CCM by the Religious Authority of Malaysia ZAKIAH. So ZAKIAH being the first halal certifying body to certify controlled or prescriptive medicines, ethical products based on the world's first halal pharmaceutical standard, MS2424-2012 Halal Pharmaceuticals General Guidelines. The halal certificate for the prescriptive pharmaceutical product was presented to Chemical Company of Malaysia Berhad CCM. The certification marked the beginning of a new era for the entry of halal pharmaceuticals into the local and international markets, as a broader range of halal pharmaceutical products manufactured by CCM and duly certified by ZAKIAH will now be available to consumers, empowering them to make more informed choice for medical products.
Yeah, Assalamualaikum. My name is Afifatul Hanim. Okay, next we go to the operational development. As we know, in Malaysia, specialized logistic hub and warehousing service are being developed for halal products. Malaysia Nippon Express, a subsidiary of Japan Nippon Express, opened the Shah Alam Logistics Center for halal food and pharmaceuticals. Malaysia MAB Cargo, a subsidiary of Malaysian Aviation Group, launched a halal logistics service following certification from ZAKIAH. Okay, next, ecosystem development. Regulatory standards in the sector are being strengthened. The OIC SMIIC will introduce halal pharmaceutical standard and has provided guidance on COVID-19. The OIC Standard and Metrology Institute for the Islamic countries set up a new technical committee on halal pharmaceutical and involving 10 members to improve the standardization process. The OIC launched a COVID-19 pandemic database for member states, which provides statistics, visualized data, and policy tools to address the pandemic. Okay, the last one is technology development. The use of the Halal Malaysian portal website in the pharmaceutical and healthcare sectors is due to technology advance. This website is easily accessible for all Muslim consumers to check the halal status of a product.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I am NAJIHAH. So today I will be talking about some of the requirements of the Halal Pharmaceutical Standard, referring to MS 2424-2019, as well as the certification procedure according to MPPHM 2020. Okay, as we all already know, the phrases are listed and defined as references to pharmaceutical businesses across the first few pages of the primary content of the standard to create a fine line and avoid ambiguity. For example, halal pharmaceuticals are defined in the standard as pharmaceutical products in finished dosage forms, which include prescription, non-prescription medicinal products, health supplement products, as well as natural products for human use. These pharmaceutical products shall be registered under the Drug Control Authority, Ministry of Health Malaysia, and has been authorized by the Halal Competent Authority JAKIM and several state Islamic Religious Council. Then, the pharmaceutical products should only contain ingredients that are permitted under Sharia law and meet several conditions, such as it does not contain any non-halal of animal parts, animals slaughtered not according to Sharia law, human parts, and najis. Most importantly, it should be safe to consume and not prepared, processed, handled, packaged, stored, and distributed using equipment contaminated with najis or other items that has been decreed as non-halal or najis. Moving on to the next slide here, we have the requirements that has been set in the certification standard. The first one is the halal management system. The halal management system must be appropriate for the manufacture of halal pharmaceuticals, and it must be ensured that the pharmaceuticals production, control operations, and processing line are designed and developed in accordance with halal, good manufacturing practice (GMP), and Sharia requirements. The second one is on halal control point. They have to ensure that all materials utilized are halal compliant, including the chemicals, reagents, apparatus, equipment, and other things required for sampling and testing shall not be purchased, handled, or sourced from any source that has been declared non-halal by Sharia. The third one is on GMP, or good manufacturing practice. So the standard has emphasized that all facilities and resources are complying with Sharia requirement. With that being said, all records shall be documented manually or by using a recording instrument. The next standard requirement has highlighted on personnel and skills. Basically, the halal pharmaceutical company must ensure that it has skilled personnel in which they are already familiar with the halal principles, and of course, they have completed their training program beforehand. Manufacturing premise and equipment is the next standard requirements in which they must adhere to the Islamic values and practices. Hence, any non-conformance items in the premise will be banned. If the premises or equipment have previously been utilized or come into touch with najis al-mughalaza, they must be washed and ritually cleansed as per Sharia, which is Surtu. Then, documentation has been specified in the standard that any factors or details which involved with the production of halal pharmaceuticals, including the proof of material origin, must be documented, reviewed, signed, and dated by authorized Muslim staff, which is JAKIM. Alright, I will now pass the floor to my colleague Nadira to explain the other requirements stated in the certification standard.
Next, I will continue about the compliance. In accordance with all requirements based on Malaysian standards, MS 2424-2019, compliance with these standards must be applied by the authorities. Compliance must also meet the requirements and procedures in accordance with the rules as prescribed by the competent halal authority. For the halal certification mark, all the requirements listed in the standards must be made carefully for the benefit of the halal pharmaceutical industry. However, after all the requirements to obtain a halal certificate have been approved by the competent authorities in Malaysia, it can be marked with the JAKIM Halal Logo certification as long as the terms and conditions of a product comply with the requirements of the standard. And the application of halal certificate, the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in Malaysia is Chemical Company of Malaysia Berhad, which is CCM, is received JAKIM Halal certification, Ministry of Health Malaysia as a factory that meets GMP guidelines, pharmaceutical inspection, convention and cooperation scheme, as well as the requirements of the World Health Organization.
Hi, it's me again, NAJIHAH. So I will continue on explaining the specific requirement of pharmaceutical product according to MPPHM 2020. So it stated that there are 4 categories for pharmaceutical products that are eligible for halal certification, which are prescription medicines, non-prescription medicines, health supplement products, and natural products only. Okay, what happened is the applicants of pharmacies that process and produce pharmaceutical products must ensure that the product has been registered, and has received the approval letter of registered products from the National Pharmaceutical Control Bureau, NPCB. Also, it is necessary to have the manufacturer's license from NPRA and meet GMP requirements. Furthermore, requirements MS 2424-2019 Halal Pharmaceuticals, General Requirements, First Revision, Sale of Drugs Act 1952, Control of Drugs and Cosmetics Regulation 1984, Drug Registration Guidance Document DRGD, and other latest legislation enforced by the relevant authorities shall be complied with. Next requirement is the need of Muslim workers must be complied with, and MHMS must be implemented effectively and to meet according to the sets of requirements. Alright, in the multinational and medium industry category, they shall appoint a minimum of 2 Muslim workers who must be Malaysian citizens, work full-time in the goods handling or processing department, and be qualified in halal management. Then, on each premises, appoint a halal executive and establish an internal halal committee with different operational management for each branch. The halal assurance system must be created and deployed in compliance with the MHMS 2020 manual. In the small industry category, however, they should hire a minimum of 1 Muslim worker who is a Malaysian citizen and works full-time in the handling or processing section. 1 Muslim halal supervisor should be appointed. Then, the internal halal control system must be developed and implemented in compliance with the MHMS 2020 manual. In the micro-industry category, on the other hand, applicant must hire a minimum of 1 Muslim worker who is a Malaysian citizen and works full-time in the handling or processing section. Similar to the small industry, the internal halal control system must be developed and implemented in compliance with the MHMS 2020 manual. So that is all for me. I will pass the floor again to my dear Nadira to explain on the relevant act and regulations in pharmaceuticals. Thank you.
Now, let's move to the relevant act and regulation in pharmaceuticals. So, as you guys can see, this act I found in the official portal of the Pharmaceutical Service Program of the Ministry of Health Malaysia after making a research. In Act 366 Poisons Act 1952, the application of the Act is, this Act shall not apply to the sale or supply of any poison or medicine containing poison by any officer or person, provided that such sale or supply is made and conducted in accordance with any regulations expressly applicable thereto made under this Act. For Act 234, Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, revised 1980, in Section 7, under the Act, power to regulate the production of and dealing in raw opium, coca leaves, poppy straw, and cannabis. In Section 10, which under the Act of Use of Premises, possession of utensils and consumption of opium. While in Section 16, where it concerns the control of manufacture and sale of certain dangerous drugs, stated about prescribing the marking of package, bottles, or containers in which any such drug is supplied. Next, for the Act 368, Sale of Drugs Act 1952, revised 1989 in Section 17, under the Act, presumption as to sale for human or animal consumption or use, while in Section 26 explains about the power to make regulations, which is the minister may make regulation to prescribe the standards of strength, weight, quality or quantity of any drug or of any ingredient, a component part thereof. And in Section 27, under the extended application of Act, the provisions of this Act, so far as they are applicable, may be extended by regulations made under this Act to apply to tobacco, cigars, cigarettes, cosmetic, and toilet preparation in like manner as the said provisions apply to drugs. And the last one for Act 290, Medicine Advertisement and Sale, Act 1956, revised 1983. in Section 4A states about the prohibition of advertisement relating to skill or service. So, it is subject to this Act. No personnel shall participate in the publication of any advertisement which refers to any skills or service relating to the treatment, prevention or diagnosis of any ailment, disease, injury, infirmity or condition affecting the human body, while in Section 4B is an explanation of advertisement of medicines to be approved, so that any advertisement proposed to be published can be submitted to Medicine Advertisement Board for approval in the manner provided by regulation made under Section 7.
Okay, now we move to regulatory framework of halal pharmaceutical industry. First is National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agencies, NPRA. NPRA is one of the agencies which hold responsibility to ensure the safety of pharmaceutical product for consumer to consume. And first is NPRA, previously known as the National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Bureau, NPRB, in 1985. This institution was established to implement quality control on pharmaceutical product. Beforehand, it was known as National Pharmaceutical Control Laboratory in October 1978 under the Ministry of Health, which was to carry out the quality control activities of pharmacy and supply program. Besides JAKIM and KPDNHEP, NPRA is also one of the authorities that has been safeguarding the Islamic dietary principle when they are entrusted to ensure the wholesome concept within pharmaceutical industry is according to the Sharia guideline. Okay, now we move to the rules and responsibility of NPRA. First, NPRA need to ensure that every pharmaceutical product is registered and the manufacturer are obliged to comply with the rules and regulatory set by NPRA. Product registration is important for NPRA to control any excessive drug use in product manufacturing, and it is to guarantee it parallel with information given by the manufacturing regarding their product. This is to make sure no harm befall the consumer by consuming the product. Okay, next is NPRA responsible to verify the quality, effectiveness and safety of pharmaceutical product through registration and license scheme. This is related to the objective of NPRA to ensure that therapeutic substance approved for the local market are safe, effective and of quality. Nowadays, pharmaceutical product is widespread, either legal or not, especially in Malaysia. Therefore, people can purchase the medicine easily based on their needs. Moreover, there is a large number of people that tend to believe in the use of traditional medicines and non-prescribed medicines from unknown brands. Therefore, NPRA are obliged to make sure that the product is registered and the medicine in the market is suitable for the consumer to consume, either in the safety of the product and the quality of the medicines. Next is NPRA also responsible to carry out laboratory tests in accordance with the relevant regulation and procedure. Every product registered need to be tested before the product is marketed. The tests need to be carried out to ensure that every pharmaceutical product meet the prescribed specifications set by the NPRA. Laboratory tests are also important in identifying suspicious, illegal, counterfeit substance or products submitted for examination by the medicines inspector, custom or police. This also can prevent illegal substance in pharmaceutical product in the industry market. Besides, it is also helped in ensuring all pharmaceutical products marketed are following Sharia guidelines.
Besides, one of the rules in halal pharmaceutical is safe for human use, non-poisonous, non-intoxicating, non-hazardous to health according to prescribed dosage. Any harmful material are forbidden to consume according to the Shariah guideline, and it is not allowed in halal regulations.
The involvement of the Department of Islamic Development Malaysia or JAKIM to confirm the status of halal on consumer food product and good in the country began in the year 1974 when the Research Center of the Islamic Affairs Division of the Prime Minister Office started to issue halal certification letter for product that meet the criteria. Beginning in the year 1994, halal confirmation was given in the form of a certification with a halal logo. So the mission of the JAKIM is to ensure that all product which certified as a halal according with the Islamic principle. As we know, industry of pharmaceutical also categorized as one important and famous industry in Malaysia. So as we know, halal logo was first presented by the JAKIM, and then JAKIM play an important role in the management of halal certification because only JAKIM approved halal logo are allowed to be used in all industry. So JAKIM issue the halal certification logo and approach product which strictly fulfill the halal requirement in accordance to the Shariah law. And then the aim of JAKIM department is to make sure all sector in Malaysia not only focus on halal pharmaceutical but also including all sector are granted the halal logo to fulfill the requirement of Shariah principle. That's why halal certification is needed in all sector, especially in pharmaceutical industry, to inform Muslim consumer that the product are prepared by halal method. So related with the halal pharmaceutical industry, the halal certification shall be issued by the competent authority in Malaysia, which is JAKIM. But all pharmaceutical product, including health supplement and traditional preparation, must be registered with the Drug Control Authority or DCA of Malaysia before being marketed in Malaysia. So the function of the DCA is to ensure that the product are safe to be taken by the public. And the major goal of JAKIM is to ensure our sector, for example in cosmetic, food and beverage and also pharmaceutical industry that are given the halal mark to meet all Shariah principle and law. JAKIM also play a critical role in Malaysia, especially for Muslim health, in protecting the consumer. As mentioned in Malaysia Standard 2010, halal pharmaceutical product must contain with permitted ingredient and followed by the guideline. For example, do not contain with any najas according to Shariah law. So, to achieve the halal certification in our pharmaceutical industry, JAKIM also function as an agency that determine the halal status for each product at all level, and each preparation process involved in the factory will be monitored to check how the halal status of raw material is maintained halal without mixed with non-halal product. Related with the halal pharmaceutical, JAKIM need to ensure that the process of preparing, handling, processing, packaging, storing or transferring product must comply with the Shariah law and good manufacturing practice (GMP). So all of regulation that set by the JAKIM was functioned to provide a clear and better guideline to the public about the halal and haram, whether for Muslim and non-Muslim, and also not only focus for the pharmaceutical industry but including all of the sector in Malaysia.